Legend has it there is a land where knights battle for honor, where dragons fly through the air, where you can experience your wildest dreams or your darkest nightmares. It's time to live the legend of Camelot.
Welcome to a brand new adventure, and today we're here at Camelot Theme Park. So welcome to the former site of the Camelot Theme Park, and we've been given special access today to come onto the site. So join us as I take you on another adventure. Before we begin the explore of the site, let's take a look at the history of the park and its downfall. Located in Charnock Richard, 3 miles west of Chorley, and built around the grounds of Park Hall, an old medieval manor house that was also built on the site of a former monastery. Camelot Adventure Park opened in 1983 under the ownership of Park Hall Leisure, who also owned the former Park Hall and converted it into a modern hotel complex. It was the brainchild of one John Rigby, who also pioneered its later sister park, the American Adventure near Nottingham. The Camelot and King Arthur theme was chosen for the park due to Park Hall's medieval roots and links to the local legend of Sir Lancelot. He is said to have been knighted Sir Lancelot of the Lake by King Arthur's court, the lake being Martin Mere that once occupied this area as the largest body of fresh water in England. When the park first opened, it was billed as the greatest magical adventure playground that every child has dreamed of, with only a handful of attractions, from a large adventure playground to animatronics, shows, smaller rides and a touring caravan park. The park and the hotel ran alongside one another and would make it the first theme park in the UK to have its own on-site hotel. Further changes and investment came in 1986, when the Park Hall Company was purchased by the Granada TV group, who would also own the American Adventure Theme Park and Granada TV studios. They moved the main entrance from near the side of the hotel, which was now known as the Camelot Theme Park Hotel, and built the famous White Castle entrance area known as Queen's Court and King's Square, along with adding major attractions such as the log flume, caterpillar coaster, dragon flyer and the live-action theatrical shows. Towards the end of the 1980s, the Granada Group had grown the park into a major attraction and changed it from an adventure park into a theme park, bringing along with them famous TV properties such as Sooty and pulling in over 500,000 visitors per year. The park was also expanded when the touring caravan park was removed and replaced by a whole new area of the park, opening as Land of the Brave with the famous Tower of Terror roller coaster in 1989. The park now covered an area of 140 acres and was set across 3 different elevations and sites. You had the main hub of the park located in a natural valley, whilst the park entrance, car parking, hotel and thrill rides were all located on a higher plateau surrounding the central hub. The park's popularity started to dwindle in the mid-90s, as competition from other parks started to grow. The park failed to invest accordingly and was soon left behind, and visitor numbers started to drop. In 1998, it was subject to a management buyout and became owned by Prime Resorts Limited. They attempted to invest further in the park, but with further declining visitor numbers, they couldn't raise the funds to compete with other parks. They attempted to add a major investment of a Vekoma in Vertigo roller coaster in 2002, but this was declined planning permission by the local council in the year 2000, just after they had already removed some major rides such as the Tower of Terror to make room for this new investment. Removing some of their major attractions and having permission refused for their new hopeful crowd-pulling attraction was a major blow to the park, and they struggled to recover fully afterwards. One final attempt came in 2007 when they opened the Nightmare roller coaster, which was bought second-hand from a park in Japan. This seemed to attract some people back to the park, but failed to stop them going into receivership in 2009. The park closed for the first part of the 2009 season, but it had a promised reopening in the summer. After the hotel was sold off to Lavender Hotels and the park was purchased by Story Homes Limited, the park would be leased back by Knights Leisure to operate until 2012. Finally, it was announced after the 2012 season that the park would be closed permanently and the site would be turned into a new large housing development, blaming a decline in visitors and a poor summer of weather. All the major rides and attractions were sold off to other parks, whilst the Nightmare roller coaster failed to sell and was eventually scrapped in 2020. Multiple planning applications for housing developments have been rejected by the local council, and the site sat abandoned for many years. Most of the land was cleared in 2020, leaving behind some features and buildings that still exist today. The Park Hall Hotel now also stands derelict after some bad management decisions and will hopefully reopen under new ownership very soon. The former park is leased on a regular basis by ParkNParty of Manchester to run their annual Scare City event that uses the abandoned park backdrop as a spooky setting for a very popular Halloween attraction. They have kindly allowed me to explore the site fully throughout the day, and that's what we are going to do across this series of videos. So join me for a full explore of the site, with plenty of surprising discoveries, nostalgia, and some photo memories thrown in as we explore the former Camelot theme park. So if you remember the park at all, you remember that there used to be a grand entrance just up here where these trees are, and you used to make your way inside the park through the gate there, and once you were in here you would have had the huge white castle right in front of you there, which we'll go take a look at very shortly. So here we are on the former go-kart track that used to be right at the side of the entrance as you came in, and you can see the tarmac down here behind me. I'll just show you around. You can see the banking just there and the tarmac all around here, all still in place as it would have been. But I do remember coming into the park all those years ago and seeing the go-karts flying around here, and you made your way into the park and then made your way round there in front of the castle and down into the main park itself. The actual castle, like I said, was here, and you could go inside there, and that was a huge entertainment complex. And just below the go-kart track we've got another foundation for a large building here. All around here you can just see the concrete foundations there of the former buildings that used to exist and the old pathway here. But unfortunately today that white castle, the iconic castle, has gone, all razed to the ground. But it did stand up until probably 3 or 4 years ago. It was still there. And here we are looking at the former site of the castle. You can see the concrete foundation there. And if I just venture over to the right hand side here, you can see one of the old turrets that used to stand there for the old former entrance down into the valley here. But here was one of the turrets, and there's another one just there. So here you would have made your way through a gate here and down into the park. And also at the top here, you remember the former white towers in front of the castle, where you can see the foundations for those right here. You can see the circles on the floor. So there you go, there's 2 there. And then the entrance into the castle, you can still see the flooring down there, look. Looks fairly new that as well, but it isn't. And then again, 2 more turrets here on the other side, and another one on the far side over there. And as we venture into where the castle was, you can see the flooring as it would have been inside, and then the various boundaries where the walls would have been inside the castle there. and the painted floors. Just seems weird. I remember coming in here and they had a big amusement arcade, a play area. I think they even had a Dodgems in here at one point as well. So this is the route you would have taken as a member of the public as you entered the park. You had the castle on your left here. There's some of the old foundations there for the castle building. It's just amazing how iconic that building was with Camelot. Everybody remembers it because it was the main entrance building. Just a bit of girder down there for the structure and concrete. That is all that's left. So we're at the back end of the castle site now. So you're looking at here what would have been behind the building. And I do remember in the early years of me coming here, probably 1988 or 89, there was a large roller coaster, indoor roller coaster right there on that concrete pad there. It used to be called, when I came anyway, it was called the Beast, but it did change names multiple times. And there was a little, like a rock facade around it. And that was the building right there. So just as we make our way down from the castle, you may remember this steep pathway here, where you used to walk down as you came in to get down into the bottom level of the park down there. And we will head down there very shortly. But just on the top of the hill here, right in front of you, would have been what was known as the Pendragon's Plunge, which was the 3 blue water slides. You used to board a dinghy and go down there. And it was right here where these concrete blocks are. So I take you to the edge, you can still see the foundations of the building right there. That's the flooring. So I would have been stood inside the station building now. And then you would have descended down the hill on a water slide, straight down there, and got out at the bottom into the main park down the side there. So we're just making our way around behind what was the castle building and onto the former site of the Beast roller coaster. So let's just take a closer look at that. I do remember coming up here as a child and seeing the queue around this corner and how big it was and thinking, no way. And it was like a zigzag queue in front of the building. And we never bothered to actually do it. But I did do it in the later years, like I say. I know they did rebuild it here. They demolished the large facade that was around it. And then they put the roller coaster back many years later, just as a roller coaster on that concrete there. Let's just have a little look behind the old White Castle building. Again, you can see one of the girders there. For the corner, lots of tiles down here. And you can see that famous white rendering there that they used to have all around the castle building. So we've just come further behind the castle. So you had the White Castle building just up there on the hill, and then the indoor roller coaster, the Beast, was there. And then there's this large concrete pad right here. Again, I'm not sure what this was. Maybe a car park behind the castle building or something like that. I never remember anything being this far behind it. But you can tell there was something here. Maybe some staff buildings or something like that. Because if you look down here as well, you can see more concrete bases. Maybe a toilet block or something. I just found this in the trees. Looks like some kind of an inflatable or maybe a tarpaulin cover from something in the park, no doubt. Just before we make our way down the hill, if I remember rightly, this was the entrance to the log flume ride, which was just over here. So we'll go see if we can find the base of the splashdown. But I remember the entrance gate being right here, and you made your way around. And I think the caterpillar coaster was on my right hand side here. I do remember that as we walk round, you can see the pathway here. And I remember queuing up the side of the log flume. And you can just see the old former splashdown here. And you can see what remains of the wall there at the side of the ride. And possibly what appears to be a queue line. I think it had like a zigzag queue. And then you made your way down this path, I believe. It's that long since I've been, I've totally forgotten. And down to the log flume ride, which would have been down here. And here we are looking over the site of the log flume. So you had the big facade for the drop there, right in the middle. And it made its way around the back there. Spotted some piping there. That could have been a former manhole or a drain. Or maybe something to do with the water ride, maybe a pump. We're just making our way up towards the log flume site. You can just see the large retaining wall there that would have held the plunge pool for the log flume back on this hillside here. I'm stood on this site now of the plunge pool for the log flume, and you can just see a lot of rubble here now, and that former banking just there. You can see the blue waterproof material there that would have lined the edge of it. I think a lot of the rubble from the castle is probably dumped in here. You can see a lot of the white rendering on the floor here. We just found this in the trees right at the side of where the log flume would have been and the castle. It looks like a water feature to me, a fountain, because you can see the blue paint there, and you can see the old pond liner as well at the back. Okay, so let's make our way down onto the bottom section of the park, which was all down here. So you would have made your way down this steep hill here, and right in front of you there would have been the Dragon roller coaster, the diesel powered Dragon roller coaster, which used to cross over our heads right here. And I'm going to do a photo fade for you now and show you exactly what that looked like from here. You can just see on the wall here as we're making way down the hill where the handrails used to be coming down. Now just down here on the left you can see again a foundation of a building or a ride. I'll put in down below what that used to be, because right now I'm not 100% sure. I don't remember much about this section here. I've just spotted this on the wall. That looks like a roller coaster wheel to me. It looks like one, but I don't think it is. It's like a polyurethane wheel. Could be. Or maybe a log flume boat wheel. It does look like that to me. Just at the side of the log flume trough, if you just look in the trees there, and I'll zoom in for you now, you can see some track remaining from the former Dragonflyer roller coaster right there. So it's not all lost. There are some pieces still around, and we will take a look in there shortly and get close to that. Lots of these walls all around the site, so you can still kind of see the layout. It's not all lost. And then right here is one of the bridges as you cross into the lower section of the park. There's some buildings remaining, because there's a natural stream that flows through the site here and underneath the site as well. And I'll just show you down here. You can see where it flows in from the valley up there. And then just in the trees again you can see the roller coaster track there for the Dragonflyer. And then we have a culvert directly down here. And there you can see the stream heading out on the other side, but when I used to come to the park I would never ever have noticed that. So you can see some of the buildings there. We will take a closer look at them. So let's go off the beaten track up here a little bit and up to where the pirate ship used to be, or the galleon I think it was called. I'm sure it was up the top end here, right there. Again you can see the foundation for it. Or maybe this was a building. If I remember rightly actually, this might have been a toilet block. I'm thinking it was. Again, I'll verify that down below. I remember there being some kind of a toilet block here next to this turret. I do remember this turret here. So we just have a look inside. The door is open. Let's see what's inside. So it's just being used at the minute to store some electrical equipment. But as you can see, it does have things inside, and it probably would have been used for storage back in the day. I don't remember anything being inside here. Let's just venture up into the trees and take a closer look at that roller coaster track up here. Now you can see some kind of a building here. Yeah, just on top of that building there, it looks like an old turret of some sort. And then right there is that roller coaster track. The old Dragonfly. I used to love that ride. Now I don't remember much about this back section here, so we're literally on the lower section. We're at the back of what used to be where the pirate ship was, and the Dragonfly used to go around the back here through the trees and make its way. So let's just head over here and see what we can see. But yet again, you can see that roller coaster track right there, as it would have headed out of the woodland to cross over the pathway that we saw when we came in. There you go. This section is all intact. A lot of it has been scrapped now, so no guesses as to what used to be this way. I don't remember much about this. You can see an old wall there. I never remember coming this far up. Again, we're underneath that roller coaster track there and onto a tunnel which heads underneath one of the roads above it up here. So let's just have a look through here. Just see that stream there as it makes its way through into the culvert pipes down there. I wonder if this used to be a former entrance at some point. You've got the old Park Hall Hotel just up there on the hill, and then the former Crazy Golf site would have been up there on that foundation just behind it there. As you can see today, it's been laid out for something completely different for this scare event that runs here called Scare City. There would have been the former Crazy Golf course right there. And then we're just heading behind some of the former buildings here. So these are some of the old game stalls, if you remember. A lot of the stalls that used to be here. Again, set up for the Halloween event currently. Got some of the old buildings here, now used to store things for the Halloween event. Yeah, these would have been ice cream kiosks, shops. And here's around the front side, again, of that game store. It's got some body bags in there now. And again, you can tell what this used to be. It's still got the sign on it. The former Percy's Hot Dogs. Now, if I remember rightly, the Dragonflyer station used to be up here at the back. So let's head up there and have a quick look. Yeah, so here we are. This is where the track would have made its way through the trees. You can see the gap right there in the middle of where the Dragonflyer would have come through from making its way all around the back and towards us here. It used to snake through, and just right here in front of us and right towards that concrete foundation there, which I think was the front of the station. So I think the station building was right here in front of us. You can just see some of the foundations on the left here. So yeah, this would have been the actual station platform right in front of us. You can see there where they've ripped out the foundations, or the concrete blocks there. Yeah, and you probably would have entered, if I remember rightly, around the back of it here. I can't remember how you got to it. I remember coming in somewhere down this end and making my way up a hill. Then the ride would have exited the station building here, straight in front of us, and onwards around the back of the park there. Now next stop is going to be the former Jousting arena, if you remember that, which used to stand right in front of us there. So let's head over there and see what's remaining of that. Now you can clearly see the foundation here for the arena, the Jousting arena. So you would have had the big grandstand right here with tiered seats going up towards the trees and a roof over the top of it. And it spanned all the way the full length of this wall here. So from where we are now, right across to the other side. It was quite a large seating area, probably 1,000 seats in there. And then you had the Jousting arena right there where it's all overgrown. And then around the other side, they were actually shops as well. Now they have gouged a bit of the arena out here to make a road through the site. But yeah, there would have been a large sand pit right here for the horses and the Jousting arena basically to be galloping up and down on. So let's just head onto the site and have a look. You can still see some of the flooring here, look. Some of the wood chip and the sand. So I made my way back down to the lower end of the site to get you these game stalls, the ones that backed on to the former Jousting arena, because we didn't cover them earlier. But we are losing light fast. So I thought I'd come down and get them now with my torch. But you can see how much of a bad state some of them are in. I mean, they are literally crumbling. That's why they're all sealed off now. So I won't be going inside there, but you can see what they used to be and the old castle theming that still remains on there. Let's take a look inside here. Former ride building here, or a snack bar or something. Somewhere over the back end of the site there would have been where the Ferris wheel was, if you remember that. The one that had the colourful cars on it. I'll show you a picture of that now as we head towards it. That Ferris wheel, I'm sure, used to be right over here somewhere towards the back of the site. I'll light it up for you there. And it used to stand up towards those trees there. As you can see, nothing more than a concrete base. And I believe there was a couple more games units or shops just there. And then the large wooden gantry just behind the screen there that used to head up to the second part of the site, which is right up there behind those trees where all the major roller coasters were. Like I say, it was in two sections, this park. So you had the lower section, which is here. Again, some more stalls here, which still remain today. Now, part of the Halloween theming, which is quite inventive. I do like these swinging clowns here. So this is the event we're at today, which is known as Scare City, here at the former Camelot Theme Park. And it's run by ParkNParty.co.uk. So if you want to check it out for next year, next Halloween, you maybe can come down here and walk around the site yourself and get scared to death. from the bottom end of the park onto the top level at the back, which used to be where all the thrill rides were, the roller coasters, etc. So as a kid, I loved it down here. And I remember my parents dragging me up to the top end and me panicking, thinking, uh-oh, means I'm going to go on the big rides. Anyway, right here to get up to the second level, there used to be like a rampway. If I remember rightly, you made your way through the bottom end of the park here and then up and down this zigzag ramp, which took you to this bit here. And then you would have headed up here, as you do today, up to the second level. It's all strange because it looks so different now, heading up to the second level here. And I do remember when you came out into the top section, there'd been a large tent building right there, which had a food court in it, and if I remember rightly, a Wimpy. So we just head onto the site. You can see, or maybe this was the food court actually. I think it was. I think this was the Wimpy, because you can see the concrete stanchions there that held the tent up above it. It was like an indoor tent area, a bit like a smaller version of the Butlins Skyline Pavilion. And you can clearly see the stanchions there to hold the supports. And the food area, probably the prep kitchen area. Just there you can see the former driving school attraction, the Bertie Bassett sponsored driving school. And you can still see, again, the trackway here, the attraction. Still got the arrows on the road there, look, and the former markings. So let's have a look in the station building. Yeah, here's the station building where you would have boarded the little driving school cars. But as you can see, this building is in a very poor state now, which is why I'm standing right on the edge of it. It's almost falling backwards down the hill. Now check this out. One of the very few buildings that still remain on the site today. Like I said, today, for the horror event, it is a clown maze. But this used to be, if I remember rightly, a big soft play area. Another one. We had quite a few here at Camelot. Now I have been told we're allowed inside, but not on the second level, because I'm told it's not very safe anymore up there. You can see the second level just there. It's just a large warehouse building, as you can see now. It's really hard to work it out because we've got the dividing walls in here for the scare maze. You can see some of the theming inside the building here. The former play area and the backside here. Like I said, this second level now is totally condemned, so we can't go up there. And again, you can see more of that play area just there. A lot of it, like I said, has been destroyed by vandals. Yeah, one last look from the outside before we move on to some more buildings just over there. And again, as we're making our way through, you can see the old pathways through. An old building there, probably a toilet block by the looks of it. We'll have a quick look inside. Yeah, it looks like a toilet block to me. This is quite spooky in itself. Yeah, definitely toilets. You can still see clearly where everything was, and the urinals right there. I presume the other side is going to be pretty much the same. You can just see down the side of that building there. And then onto the lake just there, which used to stand here when the park was here. Now we're heading up to the site opposite the toilet block of the whirlwind attraction, which was the spinning roller coaster. And it was quite a popular ride, this one, because it was very unique at the time, until Alton Towers built theirs. But if I remember rightly, the station building was over here. So the loading platform, I believe, was right there in that small ditch. And then the lift hill was at the back there, heading up into the first drop. And the rest of the ride on this site here. There used to be obviously another attraction here before that. Now there won't be much in the way of foundations for the whirlwind roller coaster because it was, as far as I'm aware, a travelling version of that ride. So it was literally a piece of tarmac and they could put it up like at a fairground. So we made our way down from the whirlwind site, which is just there. Now this was the former site of the major roller coaster they had in the 80s that I remember, the Tower of Terror, which was right here in front of us. you had the large castle building right there with the loop inside it, and the lift hill just at the back where those trees are there, as the drop swooped around in front here. It took up all of this site. You can see where the fence line roughly would have been. But later on, after the ride was demolished or moved to another park in Scotland, this section here became a flat ride known as Excalibur. And then many years later, it became Excalibur 2, which was a completely different ride. But you can see the foundation here that they used for the ride, this large square here. There's some remains of a demolished building there. Probably some kind of a game stall or theming structure for the Excalibur rides that were here. And then, in its later years, in fact, in its final years as a theme park, you had a brand new roller coaster right there. When I say brand new, it was actually a second-hand ride from Japan, if I remember rightly. But it was brought here for quite a few £1 million and built right there. But it was a lot larger than the Tower of Terror. And it took up this whole site here, right to the back there. But it was completely demolished and scrapped after only a few years of operation. You can see lots of rubble here on the former Nightmare site. There's also another roller coaster here just before Nightmare called the Gauntlet, which was a bit rickety and not very good. But what you can see here is the foundations of maybe the old castle structure for the Tower of Terror. I'm not 100% sure on that. It's hard to tell where exactly we are. But if you look down here, you can see many parts of the roller coaster, which is a shame. You can see lots of brown steel in here, which was the roller coaster track. It was a brown in colour as well. Along with the drive wheel, the roller coaster. I'll just zoom in on that for you. Yeah, that would have been a drive wheel, probably before the station building to bring the trains in, and probably some old electrical component there as well. Maybe the old control panel, something like that. It's amazing what you can find in this rubble. Bit of circuit board there. There's something. Who knows what that would have been. Now this to me looks suspiciously like a piece of squashed roller coaster track. You can even see the marking down the middle where the wheels have worn away. The paint from the ride. It does look like that to me. It's being squashed in the demolition process. Just some more stuff around the back here. Again, another drive wheel there from the roller coaster, no doubt. Yeah, a lot of it was scrapped, obviously, and sold off. There are some bits still here. I'm currently roughly where the station building was, if I remember rightly, probably here. You can see some of the concrete blocks down there and a lot of the rebar sticking out of the ground for the station building again, probably. And then we're just making our way away from the former Nightmare site, which is behind me. And this over here, I remember being a very weird flat ride. It started its life at the American Adventure theme park in Nottingham, which was the sister park to this one. If you remember, Granada TV, that owned Camelot, also owned American Adventure in the 80s and the mid-90s. And right here was a ride called the Terror Rack. It was a strange contraption. Some random building here. Again, probably ice cream kiosk or something. Let's have a poke in and have a look. Not much in there, just breeze blocks. It probably was actually maybe a substation or something like that. Yeah, it's not very big. Not big enough for a ice cream, I wouldn't have thought. And it hasn't got the window on the front. Again, around the top end here, lots of foundations of former attractions, and also a stables somewhere over the back end here. Now, do ignore the music. They are playing the Halloween music because, like I said, tonight this will be a horror event on the park, which is why I've been allowed in. They're currently testing the audio and playing the Halloween soundtrack. And that is so creepy when you're walking around an abandoned theme park and you can hear the Halloween music blaring out. Again, another building here. I'm not 100% sure what this would have been, but let's just have a quick look inside. It's so hard to tell. It could have been game stalls again, or maybe a little cafe, or who knows. I just put my floodlight on so you can see better in this room here. Yeah, I'm not sure what this was. Maybe offices. Let's have a quick look out the back. This would have been, obviously, behind. I don't remember much about this section in the park because, like I said, there was a lot of kids' rides down here, so I don't really remember coming this far. I came for the thrill rides, and that was it. Another building down here. It's been demolished. Now ignore the camper van. That's obviously part of the theming for the horror event, but you can see some rubble there from a former building. And then there's a large lake just over here, which has always been here, even from the early days of Camelot. And it's still there today. Now just down here you can see some random rebar sticking out of the ground, surrounded by concrete. Now I know what that is. That is one of the stanchions or the foundations for the Nightmare roller coaster, which was all the way up there because the first drop came down and the track made its way all the way around the back of the site here and then back up to the main part of the site. So you can see all these large concrete foundations with rebar sticking out. I do remember this walkway here. So you've got the small lake that I just showed you on the right there, and also a much larger one right there. Well, there we go. I hope you enjoyed our look at the abandoned theme park of Camelot. Now, a big thank you to ParkNParty. And if you want to come down and check out the Scare City event, like I said, it will be on next Halloween right here at Camelot, and you'll get to see what I've seen. Thank you very much for joining us. I've had a fantastic day, and the light is fading fast. I'll see you on the next video next week. Bye for now.